What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to review Venom. Before I get started, I just want to say thank you all for subscribing to my channel. Also, thank you for the likes, for the comments. Let's get into it. Venom stars Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock / Venom. And I like this movie. I really did. A lot of people bash it. I don't know why. I really was thoroughly entertained. It was a couple of minor quirks about this movie that kind of was like, well. One being that this is set in San Francisco. It should have been set in New York, because if it's in that Spider-Man universe, then it should be in New York. I'm not sure as to why it's in San Francisco rather than New York, but it should be in New York. And they had a phenomenal actor play Venom. Now, I look at Tom Hardy. When I watched this movie, I was just noticing, I'm like, of all the movies that I've seen with Tom Hardy, he never really plays like a good guy or normal guy, should I say. He always plays like badass or a tough guy persona type of, or like a complex character. You know, he's never played just a good guy. So this is like my first time actually seeing him play a good guy. And as Eddie Brock, you know, the proverbial story goes, Eddie Brock is a reporter with the Eddie Brock Show, and he goes to Life Labs, which is a tech company who sponsors life. You know, it's just basically they're trying to do technology of looking at different aspects of life and Earth. And then when you go to his Life Lab and, you know, you meet the mad scientist Carlton Drake, which is played by Riz Ahmed. I first seen Riz Ahmed when he was on the HBO like miniseries The Night Of, and he did a phenomenal job. That was the first time I've ever seen Riz Ahmed, and I think he's a phenomenal actor. In this movie, as playing Carlton Drake as a mad scientist, he was so boring. I was like, he had like no substance to the character. He wasn't intimidating. He just, you know, just a mad scientist, a tech geek that just wanted to rule everything. His whole ideology of, oh yeah, we sending, you know, rockets to go to space, and they're doing a reconnaissance mission to just scout what's out there in space. And later on, you kind of see that he's finding out that the Earth is drying up for natural resources, so he's trying to find real estate out, you know, out in space. So he's trying to find like another planet for him to go to. And along with that, you know, I guess the astronaut crew bring back the symbiotes, and they got loose, proverbial, we're all in danger because the symbiotes come. So it's like basically symbiotes got loose and the astronauts crash onto Earth. One gets away, the other two go with Carlton Drake. So it's crazy how the symbiote finds and reaches Eddie Brock, because, you know, as Carlton Drake is in the lab with the symbiotes, he's having so many tests done to try to mate the symbiotes with the life force of this planet of Earth. And, you know, first it goes inside the bunny, and it doesn't really go well. Then he's like, yeah, give me another one. You're going to keep going. Then he upgrades to human trials, where he just finding bums or pretty much kidnapping bums off the street to be his test subject. So obviously that characteristic, he's a mad scientist, because, you know, he has no regard for human life, and he just basically was like, yeah, I don't care, they're bums, nobody cares about them, they have no family, so they can be my test subjects. I don't care if they die or not. I really don't. So in that aspect, yeah, he is a mad scientist, and it's kind of messed up what he is doing. It's funny how I knew it was going to tie in together when Eddie Brock, you know, with his love interest, because what he did was how he got into Carlton Drake. His wife, well, his fiance is like a big time lawyer for a big time firm, and he goes into her laptop to go find some disturbing files on Carlton Drake, finding that, you know, he does have lawsuits, wrongful death lawsuits against him about the astronauts who did fly in the crash into Earth, and he's just trying to cover it up. So when Eddie Brock actually goes interview the guy, it'll start off as a puff piece, and he's just like, oh yeah, you know, tell me about life and tell me about your corporation, how's it doing? And then Eddie Brock starts digging in deep. Carlton Drake gets so pissed off. He was like, yeah, dude, you're done. So obviously it was a nice trace back how he got the documents, which was from his fiance. Had a nice wild night. Then, you know, he snoops through her laptop and finds the email about the lawsuit. So she gets fired from that. In the process, she just like, well, I don't want to be with you anymore. Here's your ring back. and I don't want to be with you just completely at all. And he just was like in shambles. With the movie, with their relationship, their love, you know, as Michelle Williams is being his love interest, I saw no connection. There was no connection with them two at all. It was just get him out the way, you know, find like a little backstory for why Eddie Brock is depressed, how Venom can find Eddie Brock. So it was so rushed. I felt like that aspect part of the movie was very rushed. Very rushed. And he just, you know, in despair finds another apartment and then goes back to seeing this bum. Every time he goes home from walking from whatever he was doing, he always sees this bum, you know, it's this old bum lady, and she gives him the newspaper and is like, yeah, can you give me some money because I help you get a newspaper. So one day he just finds out she's not there anymore. He's like, well, where she's at? So later on down the line that he gets into Life Corporation long after he was supposed to be there, you know, from, you know, the doctor who was there, she finds out that Carlton Drake is a mad scientist, and she feels so responsible by she staying there the whole time. It's like, yeah, I'm just staying here the whole time and until, you know, you're killing so many people. And then I'm like, yeah, you're not stopping, so I guess I gotta say something. I'm like, yeah, you should have did that the first time. But, you know, obviously she had a pushing point, so she reached out to Eddie Brock and told Eddie Brock, come back to the Life Corporation and see what Carlton Drake is doing. Yeah, he's out here killing people. So Eddie Brock finally accepts, and then, you know, gets onto the Life Corporation and finds that he saw the bum that, you know, the lady that was always giving his newspapers, and she was like in pain. Obviously she has a symbiote in him, and she bangs on the window, and he finally breaks it open and jumps on her, and then the symbiote is just a transmittable parasite, so to speak, which is so funny why Venom doesn't like to be called that, but it's like a parasite just goes into Eddie Brock, and then boom, he becomes Venom. Now, this is what everybody wanted to see in this movie. It kind of took it was a nice drag to build up how Venom would eventually be with Eddie Brock. It was a slow burn for me. I was like, the pacing was just slow in the beginning. I'm like, okay, yeah, I understand how this is. It's so typical. It was so typical, and I'm like, I see where this is going. Just speed it up. I want to see how Eddie Brock and Venom become Venom. I'm like, speed that up, like, because I'm ready for that. So finally got to that point and found out that Venom is a perfect match with Eddie Brock. He's not dying or anything like that. So it's so cool to see the transformations. Like, yeah, I'm really sick right now, and Venom's just eating all kinds of stuff and throwing up like I'm hungry. And it's just like, it was really cool. I'm like, I just liked how that dynamic played out. When Carlton Drake became a symbiote carrier, so to speak, I don't even know what the gray symbiote is called. I was like, you're the enemy, you're the nemesis in this movie. I'm not too convinced. And then their fight scene went so fast. I was just like, because we all know that, you know, symbiotes doesn't like fire and they don't like loud noise. So it was so easy for Venom to like just put him in a place where it's going to blow up, which was the rocket ship, to go back to his planet. And I guess it was like a stronger symbiote or whatever than Venom. You know, obviously I know that they had like their own planet. It's kind of like Transformers. Like, yeah, I'm like a loser on my planet, so I'm going to just stay here. That's what he told Eddie Brock, and was like, so he was like, yeah, I'm just like you. I'm a loser, so I don't want to go back to my planet. We're all just kind of like, you know, it's a stronger symbiote. So I'm just one of the ones that just, you know, I'm always chilling. So he found a liking to Eddie Brock, and, you know, after a while he was like, nah, I'll control it. We control each other. And, it's, you know, it was just a cool dynamic to see. Anti-hero, I mean, from what I understand Venom to be, was not an anti-hero. He was always the nemesis of Spider-Man. You know, and I was waiting for him to shoot out his black web like he does with Spider-Man, but I guess that's way later. One thing I did like about this movie was the end credit scenes. When I knew Carnage was coming, because I'm like, Carnage has to be somewhere here. And finally, the post-credit scenes, you go to San Quentin, which should be Rikers Island. And you see Woody Harrelson playing, I forgot the guy's name, but he was like a crazy serial killer psycho. And I'm like, you're going to be Carnage? Woody Harrelson? Really? You're too old to be Carnage. But then again, I'm not too sure. So I'm just like, could be interesting, could not be. Who knows? Overall, I give this movie an 8 out of 10. A solid 8. I like it. It's just the pacing of it in the beginning was really, really slow for me. I wish it was rated R. That's why I knock it down 2 points, because I wish the pacing was faster in the beginning part. I want to see Venom. Like that was what I wanted to see initially from the get-go. Like I just wanted to see Venom. And I wish it was rated R. every time he wanted to bite somebody's head off, they turn away or he doesn't do it. Or I wanted to see him actually kill people because I know that Venom looks disgusting. He looks gory. He looks scary. I'm like, I want to see it rated R. Just kill people, and I want to see that. You know, I'm like, it's crazy how that is, but I'm like, I want to see him actually bite his head off. I actually want to see him rip his arms off. I'm like, we don't get enough gory superheroes. Blade and Deadpool because of his mouth, and then Wolverine, you know, which long overdue, but I'm like, yeah, I want to see a gory superhero in its prime. The last one to me was Blade. I want to see Venom be a rated R, which I understand why it's not going to be rated R because it's in the Spider-Man universe, and hopefully eventually he'll meet Spider-Man and they, you know, have a Spider-Man 3 and they meet up with Venom, because the first Spider-Man 3, horrible. With Tobey Maguire and the other guy from the 70s show. I don't know his name right now, but that Venom was horrible. Like, Spider-Man 3 was so horrible, and they did Venom no justice. Venom wasn't bulky at all, but I'm like, I like this Venom. I like Tom Hardy playing Venom. I don't like Michelle Williams as his love interest. I really don't. I just don't. Carlton Drake, don't like either, but I'm like, it has to be more interesting. More interested in seeing if this is going to be a franchise, then I want them to eventually link up with Spider-Man. That'll be great. I want to see what that looks like. So, post your comments down below if you enjoyed my review. Let's talk it out. You know, let's talk it out. Let's see if you guys agree with me on Venom. If you didn't like it, let me know. Like this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel. Steve Dyson. Peace.